on in smaller ethnic groups. I really don't like the word the tribe. It sounds like two people, but it's really not. I think it's hard to understand scale because for me, culturally, I literally thought up until maybe I was like 14, 15 that there were only 3 ethnic groups in Nigeria because no one ever speaks about the others.
Do you think that each ethnic group has a look, or can you gauge whether or not somebody looks Yoruba, somebody looks Igbo, somebody looks Hausa? Is there a look?
I was going to say, I think there isn't. There's like a majority look. So when people see me, they're like, oh, you're probably Igbo because my skin is lighter. But then like my dad is dark skin. But then I feel like most people just do, dark skin, Yoruba, Hausa, light skin, Igbo, or Caribbean. But yeah, so I feel like that's it. And then I think very rarely when you get down to it, then some people start saying, okay, maybe you're like, also people have a certain type of eyes, maybe their eyes are a little bit more, but yeah, maybe their eyes are a bit smaller, so that kind of thing, it starts to break down, but I think that happens in all cultures, really.
Yeah, I agree. There is a majority look with some diversity within it. I think there's a rumour, there's a supposed belief that all Igbos are light skinned, or that, it's just that, I know there's more light skinned and dark skinned Igbo. No, we just have more light skinned people compared to other tribes, but overall, it's like there's more dark skinned Igbos. But also I think not just looks, apparently Yoruba people can carry themselves differently. Apparently Yoruba people are known to be more louder, more eccentric, more vibrant, more energetic, and Igbo people are known to be more reserved. For example, I want to talk about Black 12. Apparently a lot of Igbo girls like Yoruba guys, because they have more sauce, they have this thing vibe they carry around them, and they say that Igbo guys are more quiet, reserved, all that stuff, and apparently vice versa. So I think it's not just looks, also apparently behaviour. There's some behaviours associated with different tribes.
I feel like I definitely agree with that. I feel like it's all based on stereotypes and kind of what, like, if a majority of people think that way, then that's what everybody's going to believe. So when people say Igbo people are more fair skinned, it's because that's what's been going around for a longer period of time. So people are going to believe that. They think, okay, Nigerian people are all darker skinned, so that's what they're going to believe. But you can find someone who's light skinned and you'll say, oh, you're Igbo. And they'll be like, no, I'm Yoruba. And then you look at them and you'll be really surprised. But it's like, you're making an assumption based on a stereotype. So, of course, you're going to be surprised.
To add to that, I think it's a little bit different because where people often say that there's a look, but they're sort of referring to their experience, because in the context of Igbo people, most of the Igbo people you're going to meet in the UK, or at least that I've seen in London, are from Anambra and Imo. And now that becomes the Igbo look. But that's not how all Igbo people look. It's the look of those people. And then I meet a lot of Yoruba people who their family are from in and around Lagos, but that's not where everyone who's Yoruba is from. So you're only looking at those people. It's the same with Ghanaian people. I thought all Ghanaian men were 5'8". But it's not true. Do you see what I mean? So it's just based on your exposure and experience of the small group of people you see in your window. When you go to these countries, everyone is something different. So yeah.
I'd say aside from a look though, there's mannerisms and characteristics that are different. Like Igbo people have a different Nigerian accent. Like if you hear like my mum, who's Yoruba, will sound different to somebody's parent who's Igbo. And like dressing, Igbo people dress differently to Yoruba people. I think that.
Give examples of that.
Okay, I would, gilly. How Igbo people tie their gilly is different to how Yoruba people tie their gilly. I would say, like, obviously, again, coming back to stereotypes, Igbo people are known sometimes to be a bit more flashy in their like dress sense, in terms of like colours and stuff like that. I would say, like, that's not one thing that I like sometimes know that people say. And like Yoruba people are known to be like, I guess a bit like sometimes gaudy in terms of like the way they like dress and stuff. So I would say apart from just like light skin and dark skin, I think there's also mannerisms, like the way that Yoruba people exclaim in distress and Igbo people in distress. So like those kind of things. But once I hear that, I know that's the Igbo person. So aside from just like look, there's characteristics that are different.
How do Yoruba people explain in distress? In terms of attraction, one of the things that we see on the timeline a lot is that Igbo women have no heart, and then they're really brutal when it comes to relationships, and that you're a demon men, you know, that they get that bad reputation. Do you think there's any validity to that?
I think the man looks I think they should talk.
I think you should. Yeah.
Okay. I think, first of all, those of us in the diaspora don't realise that a lot of the stereotypes that we hold against each other are actually stereotypes that were developed during the Civil War, and then we're now maintaining them as time goes on and social media and everything else. We're hearing slight things our mum said to us, you know, don't know, but I'm Igbo, so, you know, it's like, listen, we're marrying an Igbo person from the same town as us, you know what I mean? But she's not saying that because she doesn't like other people, she's saying that because she's a child of the Biafran War, and there's certain stigma that goes if you're an Igbo woman and you marry a Yoruba man, do you know what I mean? And also, if you've seen Yoruba and Hausa people do a certain thing to you and your aunties and your uncles, you'll now label them and you'll now have a fear of them. So I don't think that personally, and then of course you're going to say Igbo men treat Igbo women better, do you know what I mean? Because Igbo men are raised to honour the women in their family, do you know what I mean? I think Igbos in general, there's a certain... I was raised anyway to have high expectations of the person that is going to date me and is going to eventually marry me, and I was told to have those expectations, yes, because I'm Igbo, but also because for me, I feel like Igbo people are raised with a pride for their culture, and the person that adds to that culture, who comes into that, has to add to it as well. I think that's our culture, and a lot of that comes again from preservation, and I think also just from the nature of how we are. So I think that's my main point, is I think there's Igbo and Yoruba demons, and I think that Yoruba girls, as much as Igbo girls want to be taken care of, and Yoruba men and Igbo men want a certain type of thing, I just think we don't know sometimes where the stereotypes come from. Yeah.
I feel like I agree with the point that you made about wanting to stay, I guess, within your culture, within your tribe, in terms of like, when you're Igbo, your parents want you to marry someone who's Igbo, so you can continue like with that lineage, with that history. But like the same thing also goes for Yoruba. Like my mom's been drilling it into me. If he's not Yoruba, the answer is no. And she's been saying it, and it's like she's like, I don't want to be in a situation where I can't communicate with my child's family, my child's husband's family. Like it's about being able to be on the same page and being able to understand each other on more than one level. And I feel like Yoruba demons exist, sure, but I feel like it's one of those ones where it's just like a lot of the behavior that they learn isn't things that they pick up easily. It's things that they pick up from watching the behavior of people around them. Like there's many families where people don't have fathers present and that kind of thing, and then people, I guess, act out in order to portray a certain image to the people around them, especially in London, Southeast London, and I feel like that also contributes to them being labelled as Yoruba demons. But not all Yoruba men are demons, and not all men are demons, but there's a large majority.
Okay, I'm gonna step on some toes, I'm sorry guys, but so I'm just going to like history or whatever, but apparently when I was in Nigeria, I learned, maybe it was a biased view of social history, but the Yoruba cultures tend to be more polygamous compared to the Igbo culture, and because of that, it's accepted for a man to kind of seek multiple partners. And a lot of these men, like they come from Nigeria, because it's a culture thing, isn't it? They come with that mindset to this country, and maybe the kids, the sons, unintentionally learn it that, oh, you know, it's normal to pursue multiple women, because it's normal that a lot of in Yoruba people are Muslim, you know, and some are traditional, you know. So when they don't know they've exhibited that behavior, and an Igbo girl who's coming from, or Igbo guy is coming from a primarily monogamous culture. Don't get me wrong, there is polygamy in Igbo land, but not as much as Yoruba land. So I think someone coming from a monogamous culture, when they see that multiple times happening, then they start to build a stereotype. And I think the stereotypes happen as well because, for example, in this country, there's majority Yoruba guys. You know, most of the black guys you see are Yoruba. You know, like compared to Caribbean. So if the girls continue dating guys that are Yoruba and the same thing is happening, or all girls, they will all create this stereotype together. Just because it's not, I think it may not be necessary, and they will associate the common trend, oh, he's a cheater. Oh, he's Yoruba. They all associate that one common denominator. So I think that's what it is. And also the same thing with Igbo people, you know. So girls and guys like to live their experience, share their experience, and trying to find a common denominator. Like, what are we doing wrong? What's wrong? And then the easiest thing is tribe culture. You know, that's what a lot of, I think that's what human beings do. You know, that's what they did in Rwanda. That's what they did in other countries. They'll find something or a common trend or that will unite people's enemies. And oh yeah, our same enemy, they have this trait. Let's come together and go against them. And that's how things like tribalism comes out. But this is not as deep as tribalism at all. It's just stereotypes.
I'm sorry. But we need to hear from some men about this situation.
There you go, man.
David talked about Yoruba demons a lot, so you can step up and do.
So, thinking about it now, I think the Yoruba demon stereotype has been perpetuated amongst Yoruba women as much as it has by other Nigerian women. But I think going to the differences in culture, I don't really have a way of proving this, but what I've heard is that traditionally in Nigeria, Igbo people take their culture more seriously. Just, I don't think there's like a gigantic difference, but even like hearing from Yoruba people is that they kind of take it more seriously and they kind of take more time to instill certain cultural values in their children. So that's what I've heard in terms of how it is in Nigeria, but I don't think, you know, it kind of continues once you get to a diaspora perspective.
So, a lot of sweeping statements, I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of flagrant when. Okay, so first and foremost, demons exist across all borders. And to be fair, if I look back at my life, being Igbo, the women that have done me the most dirty were Igbo women, so it's kind of, and I can't really base it. It's more like the people themselves and the individual.
Everyone's got rites of passage that you go through as a woman. You've got to have your Yoruba demon. It makes you ready for life. And the other thing that I want to say about, I do not condone or endorse demon behaviour. The other thing I want to just say quickly about the Igbo point again is we always have to be very careful of like the things that we say and like the histories that's behind them. And I think Akinele mentioned it earlier in terms of saying that I think there's a reason. Igbo people not taking their culture more seriously is not, I think, just because Igbo people care about being Igbo more. It's literal self-preservation. It's the same way I think Igbo people will, regardless of how long they've lived in Lagos, I know like Igbo people still go back to their villages. It's very important to still have a home there. And we have to remember that like the Biafran War ended in 1970, that's not long ago. Some of our parents lived through this, our grandparents lived through this. So it's not just about, oh, they take their culture more seriously, it's like, they have to. Like, that's what I'm not Igbo South African, but I think that definitely that's part of it.
One last thing on the polygamy though. Like, polygamy is all over Nigeria. Like, some of us in this room, our grandmothers were second and first wives. In the Yoruba structure, it's a little bit different because Yoruba culture had more kings than Igbo culture does, where it was more common for people to have multiple partners because there was a kingship structure. In Igbo land, you don't have the same sort of layers like that, but that doesn't mean it's less prevalent. Like, polygamy is, don't shoot me, it's a very common African thing.
Do you guys think that would influence your partner? Do you care about being with somebody from your ethnic group, or is that kind of something you don't really consider?
I think it's similar to what you were saying about if you speak your language, it might be nice to be with somebody else who speaks your language and passing things down to your children and just, again, cultural similarities. But we live in, like, you know, our parents back then wanted to be with someone that even came from their town or the same place that they live. We're not in Nigeria, we're not, you know, we're now in England. So the streets are dry, bro. If you want to eat, you know, so, yeah, I mean, there's obviously preference, but there's also life.
I feel like for me, my mom's drilled it into me, so you know, it's one of those ones where it's like, if he's not Yoruba, like, he has to at least be Nigerian because it's about having that same culture and that similarity. Because I get told all the time, oh my God, you're so African, you're so Nigerian from the way I speak to my mannerisms. I'm like, I want someone that I can share that with, someone who's going to help me pass that on to my children. Because I don't want it to be a thing where it's just like, once I have children, they don't speak Yoruba, they don't understand Yoruba, they don't know anything about Nigerian culture. I don't want it to be that case. I want it to be a thing where it's just like, we can still pass that on to our children and have it like be some sort of like a ongoing legacy type thing.
I think, so before I talk about personal preferences, but I think from those I think Nigerian parents, no matter what tribe they are from, they prefer their child to marry from the same tribe because it just helps preserve the culture and language. But I think it's more, I've seen it from talking to Igbo friends, because I do have Yoruba friends, but a lot of my Igbo friends, their parents are even more strict, like, no, like, cannot marry outside the tribe. And that's mainly because of the Biafran War, what happened in the Biafran War. Like, my mom, she feels like the Yorubas betrayed Igbos. That's what she said. It's not how I feel, but that's what she said. And that's why she said, and also because I think 4 million Igbo people died, literally, like we lost like how many people, like 20% of our tribal population. So I think now our parents just want us to preserve our tribe, the language, the culture, everything. And that's why when it comes to partners, they're so serious. And that's why they'll drill into our ears, from the get-go as children. Even though they may not understand that, we're in a different country, we're in the West, whereby you can't just find someone from the same town, talk with some ethnic group, Yeah, but personally, I think being a diaspora, because I've met everyone from everywhere, I'm more focused on the person. But when I was young anyway, as I got older, my preferences have opened up, not changed, but opened up a bit, in that I understand why it would be nice to be with Igbo person, mainly because, because I can speak Igbo myself, write everything. So it would be good to have someone like that to pass down Igbo, because I feel like compared to Yoruba families, Igbos were not that good at passing down the language and the culture. Like, I said compared, but this is my experience. Like, a lot of my Igbo friends, I'm the only one that can speak Igbo, which is like, mad. Whereas most of my Yoruba friends, they can speak Yoruba, if not in a conversation, fluently, So I think, but personally, I'm not keen. I'm not 100% keen on Igbo for personal reasons. But for cultural reasons, I'm open to it.
I guess, not really opinion, but something I've come to understand. I've definitely grew up, my parents are married, they're from the same village, same town, just opposite compounds, So they grew up, so they grew up with, I know her granddad, great-great-granddad, everything is all the same. And I benefited from that heavily in the sense of, I know exactly where I come from, I know exactly where my mum and dad come from. I can go back there and point at every single person in that village knows every single person in my family. And for me, that's why I was able to grow up with a full understanding of my culture, be able to speak my language, and feel so Igbo, to the point that I don't think I would ever have even dated in Yoruba anybody that wasn't Igbo last, and then Abia State last, and then, Ohanfia, if I can, but then preferably I was looking for somebody similar to my mom and dad, because I benefited from it so much. Just like, why wouldn't I want that to be what happens? You know what I mean? And I also felt like I've always wanted to live an uninterrupted life. Like, I understand that I have been interrupted, but I've always tried to formulate a life as if colonialism has never happened. Not ignorantly, but where I can do that, I will do it. And relationship is the easiest way to do that. And I'm a big believer that ultimately, as Africans, whether we like it or not, we're not the same as everybody else in the world. When you are a conquered people, you either make a decision to yourself, you remain conquered, or you set your life out to overcome what was done to you. And I think a part of that is keeping the energy that you have, the money that you have, the love that you have in your community. And I believe that for a very long time. And I believe that to the point of Igbo and Igbo only. But as life has progressed, and I think I've opened up myself a bit more, I do think as long as you marry somebody who is African and understands where you're coming from, and you both take the conscious effort to make sure that the children that you raise and the work that you do benefits both of you, then it's okay. My issue really comes when people marry outside of African and Caribbean. I'm not love who you love what you want, but I'm going to be fighting all day outside and then come home and be fighting with the person I'm married. So yeah.
I'm pretty much the same
I think keep it simple. The more you have in common with the person you're with, the better. And when we come to cultural things, we're talking about really foundational things. So the more you can relate on that level, the better. Which is why I don't get into situations with people that are not African. I value that connection very highly.
The thing is, if you're looking at commonality, is it experience? Is it language? Is it the way you view the world? Is it your approach to things? You can, and this is for me, who's out of the game. My missus is not Igbo, and she's definitely black. But
You're saying brother. You're saying
no, because as I said, black was my last. Like the rest of it, we got to figure out how that works. Because I've seen it in the generation above us where people's parents, your house is there, my back garden backs onto your house, and we're still beefing. We can't figure it out, but we speak the same language, we're the same people. We've got a lot of unhappily married uncles and aunties who said till death do us part, but I ain't been banging with you for years. Like, we had kids, and from that day onwards, we were right. We completed our mission. You sleep over there, I sleep over there, and maybe we share soup. That's it. That's it. So to avoid repeating the mistakes of our parents, if we're not thinking that because our great-grandparents were next door neighbors means we're compatible in 2020, we should probably look a little bit deeper than that. So, yeah, just don't limit yourself, but stay black.
Daniel, yes.